Hello YouTubers, this is Cessnaace back again with another video. This is going to be a vinyl ads video. I'm decked out accordingly. Hopefully the audio is going to be good with this video. I'm going to try not to go over 20 minutes just in case the audio turns out to be bad. That way I won't drive away too many people. All of the vinyl ads in this video are going to be either LPs or 12-inch maxi singles. I've added a lot of those since last time I showed any. I added a lot of 7-inch singles too, but as I've added over 1,000 of those, I don't know when I'm going to get to them because it seems like a daunting task. Well, one thing I did want to touch on before I started showing the vinyl is the video that I did previous to this one concerning this French language 3 CD box set that I bought on Amazon. Now, as I mentioned in that video, this copy, which is like new, cost me $10. All of the other copies that were for sale on Amazon were going for outrageous sums. Anywhere from $220 to $240 for a well-used copy to $500 plus for brand new. Like new, which this $10 copy was, or is, $400 plus, $440 plus. Well, after I received it, I naturally was going to do a video on it because of the outrageous prices, but I wanted to double check Amazon to make sure they were still outrageous because I didn't want to look foolish. So I did that. And the $10 copy obviously was gone because I had bought it, and the $500 copy was no longer up. And I mentioned in my video that it had sold. Well, a friend of mine over in the UK, LarryBundyJr, aka Guru Larry, who does these hilarious videos on video games and films. In fact, I love the series that he does, games, Yanks, Can't Wank. Love the theme too. Anyway, his theory was that perhaps it hadn't sold. Perhaps Amazon took it down because of the outrageous price the seller was asking. Well, shortly after he posted that comment, I got an email from Amazon reminding me of the really good deal I got on this box set. They had some additional copies available for sale, but the additional copies were all going for over $300. And in fact, I just checked last night, and when I did that check, the least expensive copy available was a well-used copy that was going for $189. Like new, you're still looking at $440 plus. So, real steal on this, I think. Now, the whole reason I bought this was because, and I think I mentioned this in a previous video, I love listening to foreign language pop music, even though I may not understand what they're singing about. This may have something to do with the fact that for a time we lived in France and we lived in Germany. Although I was still in first grade when we moved from France, but I was a teenager in junior high when we lived in Germany. And when we lived in Germany, we did a lot of traveling throughout Europe and the Scandinavian countries, and that included France. And the first foreign language album that I ever received, so I received as a gift, was in French, and it was by Brigitte Bardot. See, I remember. Brigitte Bardot made an impression on me, apparently. Well, anyway, I mentioned that I was looking for more French pop to the owner of Yesterday and Today out at the flea market, Bill, and his father, who's frequently out there, because if you let them know what you're looking for, they will actively search for it. And I mentioned that I was looking for more French pop. I didn't mention the name of the artist that I had been buying so far. I have bought a number of her CD releases. According to Wikipedia, she's had 40 studio albums released in France, but she's also had a number of German language studio albums released and a number of greatest hits, of course, in both languages. So I don't know how many albums she's released over the years total. But anyway, I went into yesterday and today to buy some Laserdiscs, which I'm now well over 300 that I haven't shown now, that I'm going to have to get to. His father was in there. He wasn't in there yet, but he did show up. His father said, I found something for you. You mentioned that you were looking for French pop, and I said, yes. You know what he found? Name ring a bell? This was released, this is a U.S. release, by the way, when she was 19. Now, some who know their music history might say Atlantic, because Atlantic was founded by two immigrants, American, who had immigrated from Turkey. And they were huge fans of jazz and what would later be called rhythm and blues. In fact, it was a guy who was president of Atlantic in the mid-50s who had coined the term rhythm and blues. Prior to that, it was simply known as race music. Well, anyway, Atlantic, deep history when it comes to rhythm and blues and jazz, but also anything from other countries. In the mid-50s is when they signed their deal with Barclay to release Barclay recordings in the U.S. This release is from 1966. And the record itself is immaculate. Jacket's not too bad either. Now you'll notice it's got a stereo sticker on it. Obviously originally said mono. And yes, I do remember that it was Atlantic. It signed ABBA in the U.S. because the head of Atlantic at the time knew of Eurovision. And he heard their Eurovision performance. Don't know if he saw it, but he heard it. And he was immediately taken with how good they were. And so he sent his PR rep to Sweden to hear them in their own backyard, so to speak. And he was blown away. He said, we got to sign this group. Now this guy, this PR rep for Atlantic, had been the PR rep for the Beatles in the US. So anyway, I was thinking about doing a video at one point about the connections between ABBA and the Beatles, because there are a lot of them. You may not know just how many, but there are a lot of links and similarities between the Beatles and ABBA. Anyway, I'm getting off the subject here. Another cool thing about Atlantic, early on, the label started in 45 or somewhere around there. They had a lot of success early on, and they had various record companies approaching them for distribution deals, and one of the labels that got in touch with them was Columbia. Columbia wanted to do a deal where Columbia would get everything except 3%, which they would give to Atlantic. And Atlantic said, well, what about the artist royalties? Because Atlantic paid artist royalties. And Columbia said, we don't pay artist royalties. So that ended that deal. Never happened. It was going to, but yeah, Atlantic paid artist royalties. Atlantic is still around. They became a wholly owned subsidiary of Warner Brothers sometime in the 60s. Okay, I had to show this one next because it's a cool cover. Those who were around at the time will remember the ad campaign, but this particular album cover harkens back to a famous Beatles cover, the Meet the Beatles cover. This was an ad campaign for the California Raisin by the California Raisin Society or group or whatever they were called. They actually released music, songs by them. Kind of weird, I know. Now, who released this? Atlantic. These songs, by the way, are done in the style of rhythm and blues. Well, with those two Turkish brothers that immigrated to the U.S. that I mentioned, that huge fans of American jazz and what would later be called rhythm and blues. Before they started Atlantic, they had already amassed a collection, supposedly, of over 12,000 jazz and R&B 78 RPM singles. Okay, if I remember correctly, this, even though it had, the name notwithstanding, I believe this is released from Mexico, but I'll have to double check. There is a reason I bought this. That's because in addition to foreign language and foreign releases, I also, yes, this is a Mexican release. I also collect colored vinyl. I didn't notice that. Even though it's a Mexican release, all of the text is in English. Now I know there were a small handful of American releases that were made for the Spanish language market that were made in Mexico, but not many. Now I don't know if this is one of those. It might be. Of course, there were a ton of French language releases in Canada for obvious reasons. Okay. Not worth finding the protective outer sleeve for that one. Okay. How did those laser discs get in there? X-Files. I thought I had weeded those out from this stack. Okay. Onward. Like New. except for a slight imperfection there in the corner, one corner. The record itself is flawless. In fact, when I bought this, it was sealed. Okay, this is on the Jive label. As you can see, there is some ring wear on this jacket. Which means at some point or another, someone stacked this. But this is another one that was sealed when I bought it. Actually, a lot of these were. Some of them still are. This is on the Charlie label. It's rather busy, your jacket. A lot of text. Okay, one of the subsidiary labels of Atlantic was, or is, Atco. I have fond memories of Atco because when I was a kid I had some singles on the Atco label by the Coasters. I'm a big Coasters fan. Anyway. Guitar Slim. Released by Atlantic, but originally recorded, intended to be released by Atco, but if I remember from reading the text correctly, they weren't released. Yeah, Guitar Slim died of pneumonia. Before that material was released or could be released. Okay, some of you out there are going to shake your heads. Some of you are going to laugh. Can't help it. This is an album that I originally had back in the day, believe it or not. Now, there was a hit single derived from this LP, Get Dancin'. You might be interested to know, even though it appears that there are a number of tracks on side one, it's pretty much a seamless track. A really long Get Dancin'. I don't know whatever happened to that. Yes, I was buying weird stuff even back when this was first released. And when was this released? Anywho, 1975. So we were just back from Germany when that came out. On the Arista label. I may have to go to 25 simply because I talked so much about that CD in the beginning. that ate up a lot of time. Okay, Fred Wesley and the Horny Horns featuring Mako Parker. A blow for me, a toot for you, on the Atlantic label. This was sealed when I bought it. Is it now? Okay, the Jacksons. This is 2100 Jackson Street. There is a hole punch on here. This is on the Epic label. Not that it necessarily applies to this one, but I've been finding a lot of UK pressings lately. Not that I was seeking them out or anything, or not that I was avoiding them either. But it's just, I have, and I don't know why. Maybe it should go this way. I know that was sideways, but he's laying on a couch. Can't fool me. Featuring Patti LaBelle. Okay. This one's got a hole punch in it, and it was not sealed when I bought it. Wilson Pickett. I'm in love. This is on the Atlantic label. I have this on CD. Now I have the LP one of the lead singers of ABBA, Agnetha Fältskog. She's got a new CD that's about to come out early next month, I believe. This is her English language solo album, I Stand Alone. She had more than one. Produced by Peter Cetera. I believe Peter Gabriel produced Frida's first English language solo album, post-ABBA. Actually, I think ABBA was still together for just a year after that. But anyway. Now, this next one, I also have on pre-recorded reel-to-reel somewhere. I have owned so many copies of this in various formats, including vinyl. And I don't know what happened to my original vinyl copy. Here's a replacement. Journey to the Center of the Earth by Rick Wakeman. This makes a wonderful companion album to Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds. Somebody at the door. Stay awesome.